Hello, I'm Pam Carruthers of healingstars.com. This is the chart. It's the full moon on the 6th of September. It's located in London, and I'm using whole signs as the houses for clarity. And clarity is an important theme this month because the Sun is in Virgo and Mars has just moved into Virgo the day before. Now, Virgo is all about the time of year that it's often in the Northern Hemisphere, it's back to school, and all the little children are going to school for the first time. And this is a theme that the full moon is actually showing up. More of that later. So, the full moon. The moon in the opposite sign of Virgo is Pisces. And here we see it. Here it is, moon, right next to Neptune. Now, this is a very significant connection because Pisces is a sign that yearns. It yearns for unconditional love, shall we say. The moon and Neptune together can be very needy emotionally, very sensitive to feelings, and full moons are often exactly that. They bring emotions to the surface. And you might, if you've got planets in water signs, feeling especially tender at this time. Now, the Pisces energy is also very good for meditating. It's very good for going within. The hermit archetype in the tarot, I connect very much to this energy. And notice a very interesting theme. It's exactly 13 degrees, making this, it's called an inconjunct to Venus. Now, Jupiter is in Venus's sign currently, and Pisces is ruled by Sagittarius and also Jupiter, both traditionally. And Venus is all about love, isn't it? It's about relationship. And Leo is the sign that Venus is currently travelling through, very much a fixed fire sign. Whereas the moon is in a mutable water sign. Now these two are at odds with each other, and that's what that dotted green line is showing. It's called an inconjunct. Even the word is difficult to pronounce. Now whenever I see this in a chart, whether it's a birth chart or a transit chart, which the full moon is, it's all about letting go, which is not an easy thing for any of us to do. And what do we let go of in this particular full moon? Well, Venus is the lover. The Venus is, in drama, it's in dramatic Leo, it wants to shine. But the moon and Neptune are all about mothering, nurturing, healing, and ultra-sensitive, as I've just said. Noticing little children going to school for the first time, there are lots of wonderful pictures on Facebook. I'm not a mother, so I haven't experienced that, but I can understand. Here's your child, represented by the moon, going off to a whole new world, a whole new adventure, and growing up. So there has to be some poignancy for mothers at this time of year, especially those with those little tots going off to school. Boy, don't they look grand. Venus, though, the lover, at odds with the mother. These two are very important feminine archetypes, and both have a place for us as women and also for men as well. So loving oneself, caring for oneself, nurturing oneself, and also being proud. That's what Leo is all about. Being proud, thinking, I've got my best outfit on and I feel good. And endorsing that energy, that Leo energy. There is Mercury. Now, Mercury has just moved forward. It's been retrograde. It hasn't been forever, but it's felt like it since the 13th of August. Significantly, Mercury is right at the end of Leo. Here it is up here. This is the degree of the solar eclipse. So therefore, we're having some resonance with that solar eclipse chart, which was on the 21st of August. The horrendous hurricane, Harvey, in the US, there's another one. There's also, sounds particularly nasty, called Irma. It's on its way. And this is a huge disruption to huge numbers of people's lives. And I think that that's very much what has been going on since that solar eclipse. And not forgetting also the India and Bangladesh, there's been huge floods there too. Floods are all about emotion and caring for each other. And I have noticed, of course, that is happening in the US. People are being extraordinary in their actions, often very heroic. Now, Mercury will move forward, it's moving forward, and it will be in Virgo again on the 10th of September. Then we will have Mercury exalted. It loves the sign of Virgo. Mars is there and the Sun. 3 planets in Earth signs. Virgo is the energy of detoxing, I think in my words, getting our priorities right. And that's why going back to school is very much that everything's fresh, isn't it? Everything's new. It's a new school year, and it's that time of year where study is much easier than it is during the summer months. We are, of course, in September moving towards the autumn equinox, but we're not quite there yet. Having another look at this chart, the flow, the ease of flow that's going on with Uranus, Mercury and Saturn. That's a very powerful fire energy. It is blocked because Saturn tends to do that. We procrastinate with Saturn, and Saturn in Sagittarius is dampening the natural energy of Sagittarius, that fiery energy. But Mercury can come up with a few tricks before it leaves Leo. A few inspirational, creative energies. Mercury, Uranus are highly creative. It's like the higher vibration, Uranus of Mercury. So tune into your dreams, tune into your inspirations that can come from anywhere. The internet, something you've read, something you've seen on Facebook, something somebody casually mentions to you. Take notice. That's what Mercury always wants to do. And now it's moving forward, even more important. The opposition that's been building, it's not exact, but Jupiter is opposite Uranus at the full moon. Both planets love freedom. And Jupiter is in a good relationship to Saturn, stronger than Uranus, which means that these creative ideas can also be delivered. We have judgments, though. Jupiter in Libra can be judgments, and oppositions, often we project out the opposite. So notice, do you have any judgments at the moment on people or organisations which represent Uranus, which are anyone who does things differently to you, anything outside of the norm, society's norm. And on the opposite end of the scale, if you're very much on that Uranian wavelength, astrologers certainly fit that pattern, we might again feel that judgment coming from other places. That's the Libra energy. That Mercury, coming back to Mercury again, there's something called the shadow. That means Mercury will only pass that shadow on the 19th of September, and that will be at 11 degrees of Virgo, where it first went retrograde in August. So you might be sensitive to that particular pattern. It's something I don't usually notice. However, I think this Mercury retrograde has been particularly difficult. Sun and Neptune opposite. I mentioned it briefly. Again, the Sun is looking at Neptune with the Moon. The Sun, that sense of identity, might feel confused. You might also be prone, if you are at this time, to having high expectations on things. There's a difference between having an expectation and being expectant. And there's a fine line here. So an expectation is a sort of demand that the universe, or whatever you want to call it, people do things in a certain way. Whereas having an expectation is more like pregnancy, when we know there's going to be a birth. It's open, it's not a demand. So just notice that. But also the Neptune effect is very strong Neptune can be illusion, can be fog. You might notice your weather at this time. In the UK, I live on the south coast, and there's been a lot of misty energy going on. Also, that feeling of dreams, being unfulfilled, perhaps being frustrated, and wanting to opt out. That's the negative aspect of Neptune. It is involved with addictions, after all, whatever they may be. They don't have to be drugs. They could be the internet, too much time on Facebook, but too many books, too much information, perhaps, as a solution to life's problems. Back to school, freshen up, watch out for that Mercury. It's a good week ahead with Mercury finally moving into its exaltation. I leave that with you. Take care. Thank you for watching. Pam Carruthers of healingstars.com.